My name is Komba. I am a tech enthusiast, fintech enthusiast. I also happen to be the CEO of MTN Mobile Money. In addition to that, and I never leave this one out, I am a father of two beautiful boys.
How would you describe yourself in 5 words?
I don't have 5, probably 2 or 3. I am very adaptive. I am also quite resilient. So that's adaptive and resilient.
What inspired you to pursue a career in fintech?
I think it's because of fintech's impact. Aside from the fact that it is a multi-billion-dollar industry, it's how it changes the world. And it's different facets in different parts of the world. So particularly here in Africa, and I would not do fintech anywhere else other than here at home. It's how I've been able to see it change lives from the most remotest parts of the world to the most developed parts of the world. Fintech is really evolving how we live.
How do you see the fintech space evolving in the next 5 years?
It's already evolving. Today, I shudder to think what is going to be possible with fintech. I think we're already seeing things like AI, we're seeing things like Internet of Things being combined with fintech. But obviously, we're going to continue to see things like neo-banking, nano lending, easy access to financing, peer-to-peer lending. These are all trends that are going to continue, but it's all the other trends that now get combined with fintech that makes it more and more interesting for the future.
What misconceptions do people have about you?
That's a good one. I'd like to hear a whole lot more of those. I think the most interesting one is always that I am uber sophisticated, but I'm just your average Joe, to be quite honest.
What does success mean to you, and when did you first start to feel successful?
Success means a lot of things to many people. It's very subjective, but specifically for me, I couple success with impact. And I started to feel my most successful when I really started to impact lives and see myself working in an industry that really added value, especially in far-flung areas, areas where people had no access to financial services, and we would go there literally and enable them with solutions that the same solutions that people had in urban areas overnight, people in rural areas had access to. And there, in that moment, I felt my most successful.
What advice would you give to someone experiencing imposter syndrome?
Sure. It's very normal to experience imposter syndrome. I think at some point in our lives, we all experience our fair share. But I think it's in celebrating wins, hey? We always experience imposter syndrome when we start to get a little ahead of ourselves. And it's always important to take a step back and take stock of where you're coming from, what you've been able to achieve so far, and really ground yourself in who you are, because you are you, and that's your superpower.
What type of activities do you engage in for your personal and career development?
For my personal development, I read a lot. I'm really curious, so I'm always checking what are the up and coming trends and how can they impact myself and the society around me. And from a career development perspective, is always learning. I'm learning from things that are around me, not only in formal education, but traveling and going to places and understanding what are the needs in these environments, and how is it that we can develop solutions to speak into those needs. So I'm always learning. I'm never too big for a new lesson.
So you mentioned reading. What's the last great book you read, and what did you learn from it?
Diary of a CEO by Stephen Bellet. And I think in the book somewhere he speaks about our greatest addiction in life being comfort, and that being the one thing that always pulls us back. I think when you challenge yourself to do what you feel can be perceived or can be achieved, right at the end of that or on the other side of that is what we need the most or where our success lies. So never be too comfortable in any setting.
And what's a skill that you haven't mastered that you're currently working on?
There's so many, but I think at the top of my list would be patience. To also know that the things that are meant for me will come to me when they're supposed to come to me. And as I grow and I mature, I realize that is easily the most critical ingredient to any success factor, that you must be patient and wait for your turn.
When was the last time you did something that greatly improved your life?
It has nothing to do with work, but I think I've recently made a whole lot more healthier choices when it comes to eating. I love food, so I think I'm making a whole lot more healthier choices when it comes to my food, and I have got one cheat day as opposed to two now. So yeah, I'm making better choices now with my eating.
As a young leader in the fintech space, how do you cultivate a spirit of collaboration and innovation within your team?
It is impossible to have a career in fintech and not have collaboration or collaborative relationships in the industry. Everything that we do is cutting across different industries. We're collaborating with banks, we're collaborating with FMCGs, we're collaborating with the mines, with SMEs, with individuals. So mostly for us, especially as mobile money, we're platform providers, and everybody plugs into our platform to realize their ambitions and their goals. So everything we do is built around collaboration, and so it's very critical to carry that ingredient with everything that we do.
What is one of the biggest challenges you faced in your career, and how did you overcome it?
I think one of the bigger challenges was really from an industry perspective, and this fintech space that we are in, is breaking the barriers to misconceptions of what we're really about. And at an industry level, there was a lot of resistance to collaborate with us. And so taking on a business in its infancy that nobody really wanted to do business with, or it was strange, and you know how everyone is always skeptical to anything new, and walking through doors and with a begging bowl to collaborate or integrate was very difficult. So we sit in a much better space now because everybody understands what we're about and how we add value to their business. But in the beginning, it was quite tough.
What was your secret to earning a top leadership role in a large corporation at a young age?
I think it's in understanding that there is no substitute for experience. That even though I was privileged enough to ascend quite quickly in my career, I was also cognizant of people who had been there much earlier before me and being able to piggyback off them. And that also informed what was my biggest strategy to get into where I am, which is relevance. I had to make sure that I was the earliest in the office and last to leave. There is no substitute for hard work. I had to put in the work. I had to be professional. I had to read. I had to check what was happening out there and what are the critical trends and the critical innovations to prove my relevance. And I was not entitled to that in any shape or form.
What's a recent tech innovation that has excited you?
Sure. It's a no-brainer. A ChatGPT. I just think that it is unfair that it came in an era when I was done with homework because I would legit use it for my homework right now. I mean, the thing is a genius. You put in work into it and it literally spits results. So I think ChatGPT is still one of the most fascinating innovations I've experienced this year.
What's a recent tech innovation that freaks you out?
I don't even know how it works yet, and I am in tech, and it freaks me out every time I'm on a call, and for any reason I am discussing, and it's gonna sound freakish because it happens to me all the time. I'll be discussing a pizza on the phone, and as soon as I cut, it is debonaires as one of my suggestions, or it is panarotis as one of my suggestions. And how did they know I was talking about a pizza? And how did they translate that to my social media? Have you experienced that?
Yes.
Yeah, that is freakish.
What does a typical week in your life look like?
It is not linear, my weeks. They tend to be a lot of unexpected, haphazard things, especially from a work perspective. Our environment is very fast-paced, and there is always something new going on. But outside that, what tends to be consistent is my fitness lifestyle. So I wake up very early in the morning to get into the gym, and I am very big on family. So be it my kids or my extended family, my immediate family, I like to deliberately pour into them. And that is what fuels me. I think that is what centers me. Family grounds me.
When was the last time you did something for the first time?
Today. I drove through your gate. Yeah, I think the last time I did something for the first time was do a collaboration with an international influencer. Was a week ago, and it was one of the brands that I work with is E-Mark. They whisked us away to Cape Town to shoot a commercial for a device, and I've never done that before. And I was at the mercy of influencers and creatives like yourselves, but boy was it fun. I have a lot of respect for people who do that for a living, because the amount of work for such a short video clip that goes in is amazing. But yeah, it was a great experience. I enjoyed it.
You're known for being a dapper guy with a distinct look. What are your ultimate style tips? Now,
that is one description, and I say this as humbly as possible, that always catches me off guard. I'm a very firm believer that everybody must just dress for their style, and style is so individual, and you can have so much fun with it for as long as you are enjoying it. You don't necessarily have to explain it to the next person. And I enjoy my style. I dress for my body, and I think everybody else should do the same. And so, yeah, I'm very individual when it comes to my selection of fashion.
What's the best life advice you've ever received?
Yeah, I have received many best advice along the way, but I think the one that always stands out is be you, the world will adjust. I think that we are such a power in our individualism, and if we can just build on that and investigate to the fullness of our capabilities and fully experience who you are, fully learn who you are, and just take such a joy in that, you can do such great work. I have done my best work when I bring my most authentic self.
What's the worst life advice you've ever received?
Sure. That when you fall off a horse, it was a bad horse and there was nothing wrong with you. And it sounds so cryptic, but it's the level of entitlement that the world has, that everything around them is wrong, and you yourself don't have to do some introspection. I think my biggest growth has always come from looking inside, especially in difficult moments, and seeing how I myself could have done things better. So I struggle with advice that always points anywhere else but to me. I like difficult advice right down the middle.